So what's your thought on, character building when it comes to martial arts? Do you feel it's extremely important to build character along with the martial arts training?
Yes.
As opposed to just one or the other?
Okay. Karate is a tool. Is a tool for defense. A knife in the hands of a chef is a kitchen utensil. A knife in the hands of a surgeon is an operating tool. A knife in the hands of a murderer is a weapon. It's not the knife that's good or bad. It is the mind and the being behind the knife that's controlling the knife. Karate is not bad. Karate is great. But in the hands of a murderer, it's a weapon for destruction. So what has to be changed here? It's the quality of the student, the character of the student. We have to teach them values. We have to teach them ethical behavior. We have to teach them the role as a human being, how to behave in society. We have to teach them how to live life as a proper person. Goshinkan karate that I teach, my first lesson to my students is leadership. My first lesson to students is to become the best person they can be. Now, I do that from the outset with children. I start children straight away from beginning on human values, right? So how do I monitor that? I monitor that, and I know a lot of teachers listening to my talk today are going to take this idea, but that's okay. They can take the idea because it's about developing the human being, right? What I do is I have what we call a parents report. So I monitor the kids with a parents report. I say to the parents, you give me a little report about your child and the behavior. How are they behaving at home? Do they have good manners? Do they keep the rooms clean and tidy? Do they help around the house? All those essential things that we want our kids to be, I want to know about that child. Because in the karate school, the child is great. He's listening to instructions, paying attention to everything we're saying. But in his own environment, he's being aggressive to his parents. He's being naughty to his brothers and sisters. He's not doing things correctly. I want to know what happens in the home. Okay? I'm not like a big brother that has a TV that's monitored to my internet so I can see every kid. I need to know what the kids are doing at home. So when the parents tell me the kid is behaving, is doing this and that correctly, so when they do that, right, I am able to guide that child, and the child develops character. Character is so essential for a better performing human being.
You've never had any parents blame you for the kids not washing up or anything, have you? Or?
They tell me, little James is not behaving. He's been fighting with his brother and sister. So what I do is I call James. I have a little meeting, a one-to-one meeting, like a job interview. And I say, you're not doing your job right at home. And he says, okay, I'll improve. I'll get better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I mean, I've trained a bit of martial arts in the past, and I've never actually been to a school that has something like that. So that's it's an incredible thing, especially as a young human being to be able to develop that. So with the martial arts community at the moment, there's a lot of kind of violent competition sports and whatnot. There's been a bit of talk about that recently, just with permanent injuries and everything, and in some cases, unfortunately, death. What are your takes on that road of martial arts? Okay,
so if every martial arts person learns this first basic essential lesson, I will ask them, who are you? They will identify with their work, they'll identify with the positions they keep or whatever they are, male or female or whatever, but that's not them. The real person is inside them, which is love. It's a spirit made from love, to be loved. So what happens? The mind is born in the soul, and the mind thinks it's separate from everything else. We need to think deeply a bit more about ourselves. When we identify with ourselves that we are love and those people that are against us is also love, our feelings towards them is different. Right? So why the need for us to kill each other, to damage each other? I say yes, learn self-defense. Yes, it's essential. I've learned self-defense. I did it all my life. I had to defend myself and other people, run to the rescue of other people that were harmed and injured. I saved other people. I never did it for bad. I did it for pure purpose, to save myself and others. Martial arts is great. The Japanese and the Brazilians and all these people that have created martial arts, the French, foot fighting, it's all fantastic, wonderful. You know, the Israelis have created their own. So every nation in the world have created beautiful arts of defense. But what I say is let it be something for defense and not aggressive, angry behavior to damage other people. When I see people bashing each other, hammering each other on the head, we don't hear about those cases where people have suffered brain injury. I know, for instance, where a guy was kicked on his jaw, they had to wire his head up together. It was so damaged, damaged. They put him in a stretcher. I don't know whether the guy lived. It was so damaged. Now, if that was your brother, if that was your child, was that your father that has gone through that, how would you feel? This feeling of, I gotta win to damage this other soul for no reason, just to win a trophy. What is the purpose of that? But when you start thinking deeply that you are a human being on a divine journey and that others too are human beings on a divine journey, you start to think differently. I say to everybody, yes, do all the arts. Become powerful. Become confident. Become strong. Learn everything that you have to learn, but use it for the purpose of defense. Don't do it to win something like a trophy. What is the real trophy in life is your character. Your character is the real trophy. That plastic or metal thing that you put on your mantelpiece only collects dust. I am proud of what I am because of my character. I am proud of my students because of the character. I've developed them, and my students will tell you, whether past or present, those even that have left me will tell you that I have developed in them a character that is so different to what they were before they joined my karate school.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I guess with a lot of this, martial arts, we don't necessarily see the aftermath of what's happened after the fight. You just see the fight. There's a lot of hype and ego surrounding it as well.
No, we only know about the winners. We don't worry about the losers, do we?
No.
We don't know what happened to the losers. We don't know whether his life has been traumatized by mental, emotional feelings as well as physical injury. People suffer. We bring suffering to other human beings. Why? Why do we need to bring suffering to other human beings? Why don't we bring something beautiful in their lives, help them develop and help them grow? I'm not saying don't do martial arts. I say to everybody, these are beautiful arts that we all need to learn as much as we can, but don't use it for the wrong purpose.
For sure.
Okay, the Japanese now are doing sports karate. I don't like it. I don't like it because I think it's unrealistic, right? A lot of it. Some of it is okay. Not all of it is good. But at least they are more gentler. There is some rules, there is some control, okay? But not this damaging other human beings. I don't approve of it at all. But it's not up to me anyway. I mean, people may be screaming on platforms very soon and saying, hey, how dare you criticize my martial arts and what I'm doing? One of my students is running a circuit. He runs a circuit, and he says, when he looks at my students and he sees gentlemen, when he looks at his own, he sees thugs. He told me that with his own words. I'm saying, why are you developing this? Why are you developing this? Let's develop human beings. Let us help them grow. Let this world become a better place for us to live. Let it become a gentler way. Let us be kinder, nicer to people.
Yeah, I mean, when I've done martial arts, I'm currently training as well. You know, I've always under the notion of you learn to fight so you don't have to fight, essentially. And, you know, the majority of men and women I've met have been down that road, very respectful and whatnot. But, yeah, I'm with you. You know, martial arts is an extremely powerful thing and it makes you confident and fit, strong and everything. But, yeah, I guess it obviously just has to be a lot more awareness surrounding the thuggish brutality of it.
Not thuggish behavior, not thuggish behavior. Look, today you've learned a couple of things of me in martial arts, right? And simple things that I shared with you, and how powerful that is. Such a simple move, and yet so powerful, right? So we can do this. We can learn the power behind karate or any martial arts. We can learn the power and we can feel confident and feel secure and feel safe. Yes, I say do it. Do everything you can do. But don't be a murderer with a knife. Be a surgeon with a knife. Be a chef with a knife. Use it for the right purpose.
Well, yeah, if you're building people up from the start in the correct fashion, you're actually doing another service, i.e. you're helping people understand how dangerous they can be, which means, as I kind of said before, you learn to fight so you don't have to fight. People are probably less likely to fight. I think one of your karate practitioners, I think it's very unlikely you'd ever see any of them wanting to start a fight.
Nobody that I know of.
Exactly.
None would know. One of my students was sitting and having a pizza.
Good story.
Right? Yeah. And so sitting and having a pizza, and a guy came along there and says, "Mate, I want a pizza. I want your pizza," he says. And my student said, "Yes, jump in." What a kind guy this is. "Yeah, jump in and have a piece." He says, "No, I want your whole pizza." He says, "What?" He says, "I want your whole pizza." He says, the student said, "Well, I bought this pizza because I'm hungry and I'm having lunch. I'm happy to give you a piece, but I can't give the whole pizza." Now, this guy was a troublemaker, right? He says, "No, I want your whole pizza." So the student got up. And he was in a pub where he was having the pizza, and there was something dangling from the roof. So the student jumped up and did what we call a mai tovigeri. He jumped and he kicked this thing in the air so high, and he looked at the guy and says, "Okay, you can have your pizza." It was over. He didn't have to fight.
The guy just ran away.
He just walked away. He walked away and he didn't have to fight with anybody. See how gently my student did that. One of my students was a footballer playing for one of the top football teams. And there was a fight, in the rugby, having a fight. And my student jumped in and grabbed this guy that took a swing. He grabbed his fist in the air, just grabbed his fist. And he looked at the guy and says, "You don't know what I know." The fight was over. You didn't have to fight with him. He says, "You don't know what I know." And that was a powerful student of mine. So I'm saying to everybody, learn your martial arts. You don't have to fight. You don't have to fight.
Do you think sometimes people's, wanting or wishing to fight, it comes from above in terms of the movies we have, the movies that are produced and the people watch, the TV shows and the books they read? And because, I used to play a lot of video games, and I'm sorry if this offends anyone, but I used to play a lot of violent video games when I was younger, and I don't really play video games anymore. And people always having this argument that it doesn't affect, your subconscious mind and so on and so forth. There's been studies on it and whatnot. I've always thought that it does, because as I've learned in my life and through SMA, everything goes in your subconscious mind. So in terms of, martial arts and willing to fight, do you think that some of that's coming from, Hollywood and kind of glorifying violence and that kind of stuff?
Everything that we see.
Exactly.
Everything that we hear.
Yeah.
everything that we feel is digested into the subconscious mind.
Exactly.
When you go and watch a movie, and you watch this hero in this movie, get rid of the bad guys, how do you feel when you leave the movie? Or how do you feel while you're sitting in the movie? You become that guy. Because it impacts your mind. It impacts your mind. So if you listen to vulgarity day in and day out, you become vulgar. Right? So these things impact you. If you're watching violent movies constantly, you become that way in your thoughts. And sometimes, when there's an argument, what happens to your emotion? You become raged and you say things you shouldn't be saying. And where did that come from? It came from what you've been watching. So those things impact your mind. I say to my karate kids, I say to them all the time, don't use bad language. I say, Hanshi doesn't use a single swear word. Right? I haven't been doing it at all my entire life. My entire life. I said to the kids, how many of you would like to be like me? They'd all put their hands up. I said, I know some of you guys have been using bad words, but from today, don't. I said, how many of you would like to be that way? All the kids will put their hand up. I said, don't use negative language. There was a great teacher called Gichin Funakoshi Sensei. He would never use a negative word.
Negative is in...
Negative word, for instance, using the word dirty.
Right,
dirty,
yep.
Right? Using the word dirty. So somebody played a trick on him. They took this dirty pair of socks and put it next to his bed. He got up and he saw the dirty pairs of socks. And he was wondering who put it there. But you know what he said? Who put these socks next to my bed? He didn't use the word dirty. Because he didn't want to use any words that was not fitting to his character.
Yep.
Right? This is just a little example. So, what I'm saying to people, if you don't want to be that way, then don't do those things.
I'm not saying any specific type of movie per se or video game or music, but I'm definitely much more mindful of what I ingest these days. You know, I still watch the occasional violent movie and that, but I don't indulge in it because I see it for what it is. Difference between maybe a documentary versus just a all out kind of horror movie. I guess as well, like one thing I've learned as well is, you know, the art of acceptance, and it leads on nicely from what you said in terms of I can't remember what his name was, but he was a pretty incredible name. I won't try and repeat it. Just the acceptance of the weather, the acceptance things have happened. You know, I try myself to go out and train even when it's hot and whatnot. There's a difference between doing that and injuring yourself, though. Of course, you've got to be mindful of it. What are your thoughts on acceptance and the mindset that acceptance can bring to you? Because I literally don't see any point at all, really, in complaining about the weather and all that. You can be like, oh yeah, it's hot today, as opposed to, oh, it's so hot, I'm sweating, and so on and so forth. Because I find if you just accept it, it doesn't even affect you really. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, people find discomfort in everything.
Exactly.
They feel discomfort when it's raining. They feel discomfort when it's sunny. They even find discomfort when it's pleasant. You know, it's strange how the human beings think. You know, nature is nature. It's going to be hot. It's going to be rainy. It's going to be windy. It's part of nature. It happens because it has to happen for so many reasons. Why do we keep complaining, oh, it's so hot, it's so cold, it's so this and it's so that? Life too. Oh, I don't like that person because he talks too much about himself. Oh, I don't like that person because of this. I don't like that lady. Look at that kind of dress. She's wearing such a horrible dress. What is so important to you, what they're wearing and what they're doing and what they're thinking? Worry about yourself. What is it in you that irritates other people? That's what we need to get rid of. Get rid of other people's irritations that you have.
Yeah, like I used to whinge all the time and everything, and these days when it's hot, I'll just be like, yeah, it's hot, and I'll go out and train, or if something smells or whatever, I acknowledge it smells and I get over it. I've read some literature books on some teachers thinking the world's gone a bit soft. I think that kind of leads into what I was saying about acceptance. You know, back in the day, people would have to go out and gather the vegetables, and obviously we hunted back in the day and all that. But these days it's all just there, you know, and people are getting too comfortable. They're not having to put in effort to go and to go and get anything, you know, food, water, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Can you put it in a easier sort of way? It's a long question.
I was actually thinking that. So I guess what I'm referring to is mental resilience, in terms of something not going someone's way and they just whinge and complain about it, as opposed to just setting their intention past and getting on with it. You know, back in the day, they had to go out and hunt. They had to go out and get their vegetables. They had to go out and find a mate, so on and so forth. These days, they just got the apps. They just got someone delivering Uber Eats to your door. The water's in the tap. So I guess the ultimate question is mental resilience. What's your thought on the state of mental resilience of most people in the world? If you want to answer that question, that is.
It's a big question. You know, I think just live life the best you can. Just live life the best you can. Do the right things with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, don't be too perturbed or disturbed by what others are doing. Just live your own life. Be a good person. Be kind. Be compassionate. And carry on with life. Every soul is on its own journey, right? Every soul is on its own journey.
That's a big thing to remember. Definitely. Definitely.